I made a bet with the instructor that I could make all the boys in the neighboring company turn to look at me. The instructor said I was boasting. I shouted, "That boy in company 48. Our instructor wants to confess to you." As a result, all the boys on the entire playground turned their heads in unison. Instructor? Under the scorching sun, rows of camouflage uniforms stand upright. Sweat is trickling down from the temples, and the fingers sticking to the seam of the trousers are also trembling slightly. I am full of longing for the upcoming college life. Not at all. Military training under the big sun of nearly 40 degrees. I might as well quit this lousy school. Thud. Someone fainted. This is already the third girl in our company to collapse. The instructor from the neighboring company came over and persuaded. "Zhao Qi, why don't you let them rest for a while?" Our instructor glanced around and coldly let us rest in place. My roommate Lin leaned on me half dead. Although our instructor is a jerk, he is really handsome. I took a look through the crowd at Instructor Lincoln, who was drinking water. It's hard not to agree. Broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs, an outstanding height of 188, with deep features and a high nose bridge. He looks extremely like Dennis O. Lin took a big gulp of water. "Classmate Jocelyn, why don't you put in more effort and win him over?" I declined politely. "No. I don't have that worldly desire now. In fact, if I can be so calm, Lincoln is definitely a big contributor." After registration, freshmen change into military training camouflage uniforms and go to a general meeting. Among all the freshmen gathering on the playground, I noticed him at a glance. Tall, thin, fair-skinned and handsome, wearing the same camouflage uniform. He appears exceptionally noble among all the boys. I couldn't resist the temptation of beauty and asked him for WeChat. He was stunned for a moment, looked me up and down, and finally pulled out his QR code. It's my first time taking the initiative to pursue someone, so I don't have much experience. Referring to the suggestions of my enthusiastic roommates, I sent many cheesy love words. The young man is very aloof and sent a string of exclamation marks. But it's still progress. He still cares about me a lot. Not only did he ask me my name, what department I'm in, but also which company I'm in for military training. I happily held my phone and replied, "My name is Jocelyn. I'm from the computer department. I'm in company 46. What about you, young man?" The other party sent a smiling face. "Coincidentally, I'm also in company 46. I was a bit confused. Company 46, isn't it a company for girls? I suspected he made a mistake. Just as I was about to ask, he sent a message saying he was going to wash up. So I had to give up. Until this morning. Hello everyone. I am Instructor Lincoln of Company 46. I looked up in shock and was facing that handsome face that made my heart flutter. When our eyes met, I saw the profound meaning in his eyes. Help! The young man I was flirting with is actually my military training instructor. No wonder he said he was also in Company 46. He is the instructor. Now that I think about it, that smiling face he sent was a mockery of me. Right? Right? Lincoln's gaze lightly fell on top of my head and then quickly moved away. During military training, I hope all students will earnestly abide by the regulations in the student handbook and complete the military training tasks. He paused, as if with a hidden meaning. Don't be overly concerned about the instructor's personal affairs. I lowered my head, wishing I could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Remembering the long paragraphs of cheesy love words I sent last night, and his sentence go incidentally. I'm also in Company 46. I'm numb. Lynn quietly asked me, "Is this?" I was desperate. "Yes." "Don't whisper. Pay attention to maintaining discipline," he said coldly. "Hold your head up and chest out." Classmate Jocelyn. I've never been so embarrassed in my life. Let it all end. But I never expected that this was just the beginning. Military training is really too tiring. The sun is really too harsh. The weather is really too hot. Just when I was hesitating whether to drop out and repeat my senior year of high school, Lincoln's voice rang in my ear. Classmate Jocelyn, having been called by name too many times. I reflexively replied, "Here." At the same time, I straightened my back and almost dropped my hat because of too big a movement. "Lincoln, stand at attention properly. Don't act cute." There was a burst of laughter in the crowd. Me. Does he have a problem with understanding? I just said here. Where did I act cute? Lincoln took a wooden stick and corrected everyone's hand positions one by one. When he came to me, he adjusted for almost 3 minutes. The small wooden stick went up and down. I always felt that it could hit me in the next second. Fortunately, he finally left. I breathed a sigh of relief. In the next second, he backed up. He lifted my sweaty hat in one go, pinched my neatly tied bun and then stuffed it back into the hat. I blushed. Out of anger. That was a bun that I had tied for half an hour. And he just undid it like that. Lincoln is a prominent figure in S University. He is a national defense student in his junior year. It is said that he has led military training twice and is famous for being extremely strict. It is said that girls who want to pursue him, like me, quickly and decisively give up on the day of military training. Even his face can't make people hesitate for a moment. One can imagine how much of a jerk he is. In just a few days of this military training, I have also become famous. Jocelyn from the computer department has offended the instructor. As long as I am around, most of the firepower of the devil instructor Lincoln is directed at me. During the whole day of military training, he spends half of his time finding faults with me. Everyone looks at me with both sympathy and relief. For a while, I am extremely popular. People are either scrambling to fetch water for me, helping me reserve seats in the cafeteria, or even giving up shower heads for me when I go to take a bath in the bathish. However, there are also some not so good aspects. That is being visited like a giant panda. This is already the 5th wave of people who have come to see me under the pretext of going to the toilet. I glared fiercely at Lincoln standing with his hands on his hips not far away. It's all Lincoln's fault. This jerk. Lincoln seemed to feel my gaze, looked over here, and then walked over. My heart trembled. Is he coming to scold me again? Oh, it seems that he is coming to chat with the instructor of the neighboring company. The alarm is lifted. The girl in the front row unscrewed the bottle cap and handed me a bottle of water. I heard that we will still be practicing horse stance in the afternoon. Damn it. Why do we have to practice horse stance in military training? I sighed. As long as we don't practice horse stance, I would be happy to be scolded by the instructor all afternoon. The instructor next door chuckled. Lincoln, look at what you have made this little schoolgirl become. I looked at the instructor next door eagerly. Instructor Zhang, why don't you come to our company? We are very easy to manage. A group of girls on the side also had expectant looks in their eyes. The instructor next door has an extremely good temper. Their company has a very long rest time. Envious. Lincoln's voice rang out from above my head. He said coldly, "Do you really want to change instructors?" I shrank my neck and was a bit timid. It's not that bad. I just don't want to practice horse stance. Lincoln snorted. I suddenly had an idea. Instructor Key. Let's make a bet. If I can make all the boys in the neighboring company turn to look at me, we won't practice horse stance in the afternoon. How about it? Lincoln didn't believe it. He thought I was bragging. But under the instigation of the instructor next door, this bet was finally made. I took a deep breath and shouted with all my strength towards the front. That boy in company 48. Our instructor Lincoln wants to confess to you. So all the boys on the entire playground turned their heads in unison. Lincoln? Lincoln's face turned green. Lincoln's face darkened. Seriously. The last time I saw such a neat formation was when the sunflowers turned their heads. The goose-stepping practice to the right that we have been practicing for 2 days didn't make these boys turn their heads as neatly. I swallowed and looked at Lincoln. Instructor. Instructor. Did I win? Lincoln didn't speak. But his gaze at me was rather cold. The instructor next door laughed like a goose. He slapped his thigh wildly. Count it. You won big time. Just then, a boy from the company in front who loved to watch the excitement and didn't think it was a big deal shouted loudly. Who exactly is being confessed to? I subconsciously answered. The handsomest one. Lincoln is handsome. Finding the handsomest one should not be an insult to his extremely handsome face. Right? I carefully observed Lincoln's expression. Instructor. The handsomest boy. Now you shouldn't be too embarrassed. Right? Lincoln was so angry that he laughed instead. It could be seen that he wanted to swear. But for some reason he didn't scold. I had already prepared myself to be scolded overwhelmingly like a storm. But who knew it was so calm? Lincoln waved his hand in resignation. Okay. Anyway. Your instructor, I only have one face. You can lose it as you please. I took the opportunity. Then, instructor. We won't practice horse stance in the afternoon. Right? No more horse stance. I was secretly delighted. Oh, this Lincoln keeps his word. He is a good man. 3 good man my ass. He did keep his bet, and didn't make us practice horse stance. But he made us do push-ups. The life-threatening, get ready for push-ups rang out beside my ears. I resignedly lay down and my arms were sore and swollen in waves. I'm really fed up with Lincoln. This jerk. Playing word games with me. When having lunch. My hand holding the chopsticks was trembling. I angrily took a bite of the pork ribs. I have to say. Lincoln is really a jerk. A voice came from behind. Say it again, and let me hear. Who is a jerk? I turned my head trembling. Lincoln was looking at me expressionlessly with a lunch tray in his hand. He raised his eyebrows at me. I was caught saying bad things about the person involved. I tried to get away with being cute. Instructor. I was talking about the classic of mountains and seas. Do you believe me? Do you want to guess on which page of the classic of mountains and seas this mythical beast is? Lincoln's expression was also easy to understand. Do you think I will guess? He ignored me and turned to ask Lynn if she had finished eating. His tone was gentle and his attitude was extremely good. It was completely different from when he was cold and stern when scolding me. It's really a sign of the decline of morality. I thought he was a handsome, kind-hearted and polite handsome young man at first. It's a pity for those cheesy love words I copied. It would be better to say them to a dog than to him. Even a dog would wag its tail when hearing them. He would only keep saying, "Get ready for push-ups." Lynn nodded hastily. I've finished. Instructor. Do you have any instructions? Lincoln, please give up your seat. There aren't many empty seats in the cafeteria. Lynn looked at the cafeteria with a large number of empty seats. Then at Lincoln, who was full of courtesy. And then at me, who looked pitiful. With a determined effort, she took her lunch tray and slipped away. My roommate Jocelyn asked me to bring her food. I'm afraid she will starve to death. So I'll leave first. Me. Sister. Do you have the guts to look me in the eyes and repeat what you just said? Lincoln picked up his chopsticks. You sit down. Let's talk. I put down my lunch tray and forced a smile. What are we talking about? Which page am I on? And Shanghai Jing? He showed a smile. The kind that was only skin deep. Is the Q-Illin really that bad? Q-Illin? Help. Mom. His smile is so terrifying. I quickly knelt down. Brother. I'm wrong. I was young and impulsive and didn't know better. Can't you be magnanimous and not hold it against a clueless kid like me? Did I show off because I was young and impulsive and didn't know better? Will I not correct my mistake? If you hold it against a clueless kid like me, are you still a human being? I'm still very angry. But when kneeling, I must kneel straight. College students in the new era are so proud. Lincoln nodded. Okay. You're a kid. I won't hold it against you. Just as the smile on my lips began to spread, I saw Lincoln reach out his hand to me. Kid. Hand over your phone. I defensively hid my phone. I wanted to retort maliciously, but felt a bit lacking in confidence after all. I had just been talking loudly behind his back. I'm telling you. My phone cost 900 yuan. I advise you to be cautious. What are you doing? Are you going to rob me openly? Open robbery has no future. An amount over 3,000 yuan can be reported to the police. Wake up. Lincoln's look at me was like looking at a fool. Only then did I realize that I had overthought. But this can't be blamed on me. During this period of time, his image in my heart is no different from that of Huang Shiren and Grandet. He is extremely stingy with rest time. Almost down to the second, even Master Zhu Pao Pi isn't so harsh to his long-term workers. He tapped his knuckles on the table. Remove me from the blacklist. Lincoln thought for a moment, and added another sentence. Send me 3 cheesy pickup lines every day. I'll keep them for backup in case I need them someday. Plagiarizing others' ideas. Shameless. Using the way I flirted with him to flirt with others is even more shameless. I tried to condemn him with my eyes, forget it. I can't beat him. I had to reluctantly remove him from the blacklist and furiously typed on the keyboard, almost breaking the screen. I like you very much. Just like when your mom hits you. Without reason. I like you very much. Just like failing 3 courses or more. It's extremely easy. I like you very much. Just like eating a spicy hot pot base and having a thorough bowel movement. After being naughty, I was about to run away. Unexpectedly, Lincoln pinched my little bun on my head with one hand and pulled me back. What are you doing? Lincoln held my little bun and picked up a hat from the table and put it on my head. With a wave of his big hand. Okay. Let's go. I'm not the kind of person who bullies kids. Bah. You're not even a human being. For the evening singing activity is cancelled. The freshmen line up to get nucleic acid tests. Because there are so many people. Many sophomore and junior seniors are also called to help. Some maintain order. And some remind people to scan the codes. And I'm making up my homework. I forgot to send cheesy pickup lines to Lincoln yesterday. As soon as I woke up this morning, I saw him send a question mark. When he gave me extra training, he specially reminded me not to forget to make up the 3 from yesterday. Damn it. My major teacher hasn't assigned me homework yet. But he has. Just thinking about it makes me so angry. Lynn stood behind me. She tapped my back. I heard that our instructor Qi has led military training for 2 sessions. Because he's so handsome. Many boys and girls ask for his WeChat. He basically appears on the confession wall once a month. Not surprisingly at all. Isn't that how I fell for him? I heard that when he's popular. He once set a record of rejecting 57 people in one day. 57 people? Normal. With his face. He could debut immediately if he participated in a talent show. Not to mention just 57 people. Wait. Reject? When I asked for his WeChat, did it take 20 seconds from asking to scanning the code? Probably not. Meeting my inquiring gaze. Lynn nodded. Yes. I asked many people. He should have only added you. Lynn, do you think he likes you? I pushed away Lynn's head that was leaning over. Taking me as an example every day? Making me do it again countless times? Keeping me for extra training alone when others go to eat? Does he like me? Lynn, it seems to make some sense. Speaking of the devil, Lincoln was standing not far away. He looked like he had just taken a shower. His hair was wet. Unusually, he wasn't wearing camouflage clothing. He was only wearing a white t-shirt and black shorts. He was so handsome among the crowd. Sisters, he is really handsome. Just as I was thinking, a line reached him. He stared at me, and I looked at him. The atmosphere was a bit awkward. Could I let the atmosphere turn cold? Of course not. I opened my mouth and made small talk. Instructor Qi, are you scanning health codes here? Lincoln was stunned for a moment. He frowned and spoke every word forcefully. Jocelyn, talk properly. Don't act cute. Huh? No. Does he have such a deep prejudice against me now? Health code is health code. Don't use reduplication. My new phone that cost 5,900 yuan was almost thrown out. This person is crazy. I was holding back a breath in my heart, unable to go up or down. My gaze at Lin was rather complicated. With this, he still likes me? Lin, are you blind? I can endure his criticism during military training, but I can't tolerate his excessive speculation. Twice. I've never suffered such injustice in my life. It's completely nonsense. There is no word acting cute in my dictionary at all. Instructor key. That last word of mine is not a reduplication. It's just a simple modal particle. Similar to have you eaten? Have you slept? Lincoln suddenly understood. There was a trace of regret in his eyes. He opened his mouth and wanted to say something. I didn't give him this chance. I admit that when I asked for your WeChat at that time, it was out of being attracted by your appearance. Later, I offended you several times to a greater or lesser extent. I apologize for what I did wrong. I have also paid the price for it. In my heart, I always think that you, instructor, are an upright person and will not be prejudiced against others. But today's incident, I took a deep breath. It really opened my eyes. Even if I really like acting cute and coquettish, it has nothing to do with you. Even if I like using reduplication words. So what? My mom doesn't care about me. Why do you care about me? The people around looked at me like looking at a brave person. At that moment, I heard the sound of countless people taking out their mobile phones and sending WeChat messages. Very good. I already have a premonition that I will be famous again. I held Lin's arm and said reduplication words affected lie. Even if I suffer great losses, I will still cause 1,000 points of damage to the enemy and infuriate Lincoln. This big jerk. But reduplication words are really disgusting. Yuck. After finishing the nucleic acid test and going back, the door of the dormitory was pushed open again and again. Countless pairs of gossipy eyes stared at me intently. There are 6 people in the dormitory. The girls on the whole floor greeted us with different excuses. In the end, they did not forget to ask sincerely, Jocelyn, when did you and Lincoln have a secret relationship? Thank you. I'm already furious. My fists are clenched. Thanks to Lincoln, I finally became the Harry Potter of the freshman class and was watched everywhere I go. I've never been so famous in my life. The girl on my upper bunk asked weakly, Jocelyn, do we need to report for repair on the door of our dormitory tomorrow? Report for repair. Must report for repair. Change to a solid wood security door. Otherwise, it won't be able to stop these gossipy girls. 5 Of course. Report for repair. But there is no solid wood security door. The school rejected my unreasonable request and only replaced the door bolt for us. Maybe it's my time of turning misfortune into good fortune. The next few days were peaceful, except for all kinds of gossip circulating privately. I lived a very peaceful life, especially today. It's raining and we don't need to go out for military training. Happy. After worshipping the rain god Xiao Jing Tang for so long, this good thing finally comes to us. Thinking of the seniors in the penguin group sending sunny emoji, IS interns and eating ice cream and drinking cold drinks when we were training before. I get angry. When the freshmen report for military training next year, I will definitely do the same. I will hold 3 small fans and blow in front of them. I will also buy 3 Wang Wang crushed ice and eat half and throw half in front of them. This kind of meanness makes me feel uneasy if I don't do it. In the morning, the instructor taught us to tidy up the dormitory, saying that there will also be an internal affairs evaluation during the military training performance the day after tomorrow. Is it reasonable to teach us how to fold quilts today for the internal affairs evaluation the day after tomorrow? This is not reasonable. Our dormitory is in the innermost room. Everyone watched in other dormitories for a long time. The instructor is estimated to come and teach us last. Just dream of Instructor Zhang. Instructor Zhang is very nice. I like him very much. But I didn't seem to see Lincoln. Is it also good news? I really don't want to see him today. Well, it's just a bit awkward. After the last health code incident. He has been training honestly. I don't know what mentality he is in. Maybe it's guilt or maybe it's apology. In short, he hasn't called my name as an example these days. Even if he just said a true character. And next second he would abruptly change his words to, the girl in the third position of the second row. Pay attention to your hand posture. Or the girl in the sixth position of the fifth row. Align. That's right. Everyone else is called by coordinates. Only when calling me is it by full name. I seriously suspect that his goldfish brain only remembers my name. Lincoln is so upright that he is a bit old-fashioned. Even though he always thinks that I am acting cute and criticizes me for it. I have to say this, it's really a pain. In my life. I have pretended to be pitiful, but I really haven't acted cute. He is really reflecting. He helped me yesterday. Yesterday. A boy from another department asked me for my phone number. I was worrying about how to refuse. Lincoln stopped that boy and trained him for 10 minutes. In the end, he warned me that there are too many scumbags on the market and I must be vigilant. There's no need to be so cautious. I reluctantly moved my gaze away from his face and decided to forgive him for a second. This is probably a rare warm moment in these 2 days. In fact, Instructor Key. I am preparing to take the postgraduate entrance examination and pursue a doctorate to enrich myself. There was a trace of confusion in Lincoln's eyes. Probably he didn't quite understand why I changed the topic. He clapped his hands dryly. Your life plan is very clear. Yes. My life plan is clearer than the jawline of my idol. What's the point of falling in love? Falling in love has no future. I patted Lincoln on the shoulder earnestly. I don't plan to fall in love before graduation. As the saying goes, wise people don't fall in love. Lonely people pursue master's and doctorate degrees all the way. Instructor Key. Let's encourage each other. When I left, Lincoln's face seemed a bit dark. Could it be because of sunburn from military training? It shouldn't be. Also, Lincoln is a bit gentle recently. When I had breakfast this morning, I forgot to bring my one-card pass. He also swiped his card for me. Several boys nearby were pushing and shoving. One of them was still winking and making strange noises. They didn't wear camouflage uniforms. They should be his roommates or friends. Lincoln elbowed the boys hard until they dared not speak. He was a bit embarrassed. Don't listen to their nonsense. They are not quite normal mentally. He looked around and asked me, there aren't many vacant seats left. How about we sit together? This reason seems somewhat familiar. Using the same joke twice is a bit impolite. Friend. But I took a look at the camouflage army surging towards the cafeteria. After a second of reflection, I realized I was overthinking. Can you get full with just these in the morning? Sure. I glanced at the plate. There were steamed buns, tea, eggs, grilled sausages, and a bowl of millet porridge. Quite a lot. Looking at him again, there was a bowl of hot dry noodles, a drawer of small steamed buns, 2 boiled eggs without shells, and a bowl of egg drop soup. With such a big appetite. No wonder he was so full of energy when scolding me. Thinking like this, I also said it out loud. Lincoln's apologetic voice came from across. I'm sorry. Lincoln looked at me sincerely. I apologize to you for everything I've done during this period. So formal. This time it was my turn to feel embarrassed. No need. Actually, Lincoln pressed my hand. Listen to me. I've reflected on myself recently. I did have biases in my attitude towards you. He seriously analyzed his own mental journey and said a lot. In the end, his face was flushed, and he almost finished speaking in one go with his eyes closed. But I really think you are very cute. You are cute without using reduplicated words. And you are also very cute when using reduplicated words. I'm done eating. I'll leave first. After Lincoln finished speaking, he hurriedly left with his plate. I was distracted for a second. Did he even forget to take his chopsticks just now? Finished eating already? Instructor Zhang came over. Sure enough. It was him. My roommates had watched the folding method of the tofu-like quilt in other dormitories, and were now enthusiastically experimenting. Instructor Zhang came over with a smile. Classmate Jocelyn. Your instructor Qi will be late due to some matters. Do you miss him? Instructor Zhang. Be more serious. I'm scared. Instructor Zhang wanted to say something but stopped. And then stopped but wanted to say again. Little Qi actually likes you quite a bit. Little Qi told me that you are a bit like his cousin. Every time he sees you, he feels like seeing his cousin. Do you understand loving the house and its crow? So he is inevitably a bit stricter. Oh, isn't it a coincidence? Little Qi's cousin is also a freshman. Oh, there's this too? While struggling with the quilt, I sincerely asked. Oh, then where does Instructor Qi's cousin go to school? At the affiliated kindergarten of S University. Me, the freshman class in kindergarten. Instructor Zhang said righteously. Yes. If you are so good at making jokes, why don't you go to Diyan Society? A helpless voice came from the door. Brother Zhang, why don't you take a break first? It was Lincoln's voice. As soon as he appeared, the dormitory was quiet for a moment. My several roommates pushed me aside and dragged Instructor Zhang's arm and left. Our dormitory is the innermost one and also the last one to be visited by the instructors. So only at this moment, only 2 girls who are on good terms with us from the neighboring dormitory are watching. They seem to have discovered some earth-shattering secret. Their eyes wide and then they leaned back in shock. In the next second, Instructor, there is Instructor Qi over by Jocelyn. Come quickly and teach us how to fold the tofu-like quilt. I raised my hand to protest. I also want to learn. Why am I excluded? This isn't fair. I also want the gentle Instructor Zhang to teach. Lincoln's handsomeness is completely useless. At this time, a hand stretched out from nowhere and pinched my wrist, pulling my hand down. Lincoln coughed. I'll teach you. Let your roommates learn well from Instructor Zhang. I somewhat uncomfortably pulled my hand out. It doesn't seem to be my illusion. Lincoln, he is really acting strange. Lincoln pointed at my bed. Is this your quilt? I looked at that chubby, bulging quilt and felt a bit discouraged. S University did issue bedding, but I thought the quilt was too thin. So I replaced the quilt issued by the school with the one my mother brought me early on. It's too thick. It might be a bit difficult to fold it into a tofu-like quilt. I said awkwardly. The quilt is too thick and might not be easy to fold. Instructor, why don't you use a no? Use yours. Lincoln is really capable. My chubby quilt that is so thick that it's even difficult to roll up is like an obedient little toy in his hands. With just a fold here, a smooth out there, a flip into stack, it became a neat tofu-like quilt. Just folding a tofu-like quilt. Is it so surprising? Lincoln chuckled. This was the first time I'd seen him laugh like this. There was actually a small dimple on his right cheek when he laughed. The incandescent light shone on his face, coating his fine eyelashes with a layer of silver. I swallowed. Oh no. It's the feeling of a crush. He straightened the hat on my head and said gently, I'll tell you the essentials once. Listen carefully. His lips opened and closed as he spoke. But it was as if I had gone deaf. I didn't hear anything at all. His lips are so red. I want to kiss them. Jocelyn. I reflexively stood at attention, and shouted. My head hit the upper bunk's edge. It didn't hurt? A warm feeling came from my head. Lincoln's hand was in the middle, blocking it for me. The back of his hand was already red. Lincoln put his hand behind his back and refused to let me look at it no matter what. I felt a bit guilty and also very grateful. He is really a good person. He changed the subject. Let's not talk about this. I'm a bit thirsty. Can you pour me some water? Yes. Jocelyn's cup is here. Let her pour it. Me. I turned my head and met several pairs of sly eyes. When they saw me looking over, some of them looked at the sky and some at the ground. Their gazes always refused to meet mine. Lin gave me a firm look. Then he stuffed the cup into my arms. Along with it came an oversized bucket of mineral water. I almost dropped it on the ground as I didn't hold it firmly. A pair of warm big hands were placed on mine. He held it steadily and motioned for me to put it on the table first. My face seems to be red. My face must be red. Woo woo. Mom. He is so good at this. He picked up the cup and put it to his mouth. After a pause, he suddenly said, "Would you mind if I use your cup? Although I'm a bit thirsty. If you mind, I can go to the supermarket to buy water after this." He is a bit like a green tea. But I like it. Women are just so unreasonable. I covered my face. You can drink it. After all, you are the instructor. I still understand respecting teachers and following the right path. Lincoln's smile on his face faded a bit. 7 in fact. I am your senior in the 3rd year. After the military training, I will no longer be your instructor. So you don't need to respect me so excessively. Essentially, we are equal. I blinked. I didn't quite understand his intention in saying this. I probed. Then, senior key? He nodded in satisfaction. Lincoln paused. After the military training ends, I have something I want to say to you. My heart suddenly rose to my throat. With so many people around, what is he going to say? Could you fold it once first? My heart returned to my stomach and I slowly unfolded the quilt. There was a soft chuckle beside my ear. Lincoln had a smile on his face. Why do I feel that you seem a bit disappointed? I ignored him. I felt that my ears must be red. This quilt is really too difficult to fold. Not only did I not manage to unfold it after shaking it for a long time, but I almost fell into Lincoln's arms. It's a bit embarrassing. The quilt issued by the school is a bit thin, but it's still quite easy to fold it into a tofu cube shape. Lincoln suggested. Why don't you change the quilt back? I looked embarrassed. Why don't you teach me again? I'll record a video and learn slowly? Of course. The video was not recorded. Because Lincoln was helping me change the quilt, changing back the thick quilt my mother bought me to the thin quilt issued by the school. It took me half an hour to put on the quilt cover at the beginning. He completed it in 2 minutes. He's so fast. Oh, you can't say a guy is fast. Lincoln was about to leave. As a representative, I sent him out. I heard what Instructor Zhang said. Lincoln suddenly staggered, losing his usual rational appearance and even showing a bit of panic. What? I suddenly felt psychologically balanced. He said you like me. Lincoln's face suddenly turned red and he stammered. Really? You like me because you think I'm like your cousin who is in senior kindergarten. I deliberately said. So you regard me as a junior. Suddenly, I felt a chill all around me. Lincoln glanced at Instructor Zhang not far away, and his eyes seemed to carry a murderous look. The military training performance ended successfully, and I was also named an outstanding paysetter. I have excellent eyesight. When I went on stage to receive the award, I saw Lincoln taking pictures with his mobile phone from a long distance. I held the certificate and showed a sweet smile. When I returned to the team, I found that he was gone. He went for training. Liar. He also said that he had something to tell me after the military training. Tell me nothing. At first, Lin and the others were comforting me. Later, there was no news at all. They didn't even dare to mention Lincoln's name anymore, for fear that I would be sad if I remembered. I have an excellent mentality, and am not as sad as they think. Well, I admit there is a little bit. However, falling in love is like a venture investment. Both parties have to take risks. Of course, it's good to win. If I lose, I'm not afraid. I was wrong. I am still a little afraid. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I received a call from Lincoln asking me to go downstairs to get breakfast. Politely asking, what kind of stupid dog is he? I didn't have any romantic thoughts at all. I was so sleepy that my eyelids were fighting. I put on a coat over my pajamas and went downstairs. At 5 o'clock in the morning. The door of the dormitory building is not even open. There was no one outside. I suspected that he was tricking me, but I had no evidence. Just then, the glass door was knocked. It was Lincoln. He was a bit disheveled. His hair hadn't been washed for several days and his face was dirty. He was carrying a huge military backpack. As soon as he saw me, his eyes suddenly lit up. My metaphor may not be very appropriate, but it really seems like a dirty stray dog seeing its owner who adopted it. Lincoln slightly opened the door a bit. The chain lock was taut. He stretched in a hand. He passed me a bag of things through the crack. Well, 2 steamed buns. Oh, and a bottle of water. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. No, at least give me a bag of pickles. Isn't it choking to eat steamed buns dry? Lincoln carefully observed my expression. He was both shy and embarrassed. I just finished the training mark and saw your circle of friends. What circle of friends? Oh, the one about getting breakfast. I deliberately posted it visible only to one person. The cafeteria is not open either. These 2 steamed buns were distributed when I just got on the bus. They are clean. His eyes were moist. Like a little puppy afraid of being abandoned by its owner. There was originally a grilled sausage. I was indeed a bit touched, but still couldn't help but focus on the wrong point. Then where's the grilled sausage? Lincoln took out the hand behind his back. His expression was like that of a child who had made a mistake. He showed a burnt sausage with half of the casing removed. It was burnt by me, and can't be eaten anymore. His tone was urgent. Although I didn't manage to bring breakfast. But I can go and reserve seats. Whether it's in the library or the classroom. I can go. I spoke softly. However, those are things that a boyfriend should do. Lincoln, what am I to you? Am I a student you're training? A younger schoolmate from the same school? Or a stranger who resembles your cousin? None of them. He licked his dry lips. Sincere and passionate. You are the person I like. The waning crescent moon in the sky hasn't faded yet. Birds are chirping in the trees. And the fragrance of green grass outside the dormitory building wafts in. My heart is pounding wildly. Extra Chapter 1. Lincoln is in a very bad mood. Extremely bad. Having to lead military training again. Annoying. Extremely annoying. Did the national defense students of this session offend the school leaders of S University? Since instructors have already been invited from the Army, why do national defense students still need to be deployed to participate in military training? Is it to tell others that there are national defense students at S University? It's just absurd. When he received the notice, he was in the cafeteria. The girl in front of him was not tall, with a bun on her head and wearing a red t-shirt and denim overall shorts, looking around with curiosity all over her face. She is most likely a freshman. The bow on the freshman's bun bounced with her movements. It looked a bit familiar. It seemed that his 4-year-old cousin also swayed like this when walking. Lincoln stared expressionlessly, his fingers twitching slightly. Huh. A bit cute. Want to pinch? A rough complaint from behind interrupted Lincoln's thoughts. Dude. There's so much space in front. Why don't you move forward? Lincoln turned back expressionlessly. Lincoln stepped aside expressionlessly. Lincoln expressionlessly revealed the short person in front of him. Oh no. Revealed the short girl in front of him. The short girl also heard it. She turned around angrily with puffed cheeks, and stood on tiptoe to prove her presence. After several attempts and finding it useless, she simply jumped up. There's someone. There's someone in front. Lincoln turned his face away, thinking, she's also very cute in appearance, jumping up and down a bit like Mario. Even cuter, too, after changing into camouflage uniforms and listening to reports on the playground. When it was time to disperse, some girls came to ask for WeChat. Lincoln was already tired of encountering such scenes every year. He exuded an air of being unapproachable. Relying solely on this cold aura, he managed to deter waves of younger schoolmates. Just as he was about to return to the dormitory, someone blocked his way. Lincoln was almost about to explode. Looking down. Oh, it's that Mario who was collecting coins in the cafeteria. He took a look and still took out his phone and gave the WeChat QR code. The little girl had a kind of silly cuteness. He didn't know which dog-headed strategist. A humorous way to refer to an advisor behind her gave her this idea. Long paragraphs of cheesy love words. Clearly copied from the internet. Even forgot to delete the numerical serial numbers when copying. Having a headache from being bombarded by messages. Lincoln pinched the bridge of his nose and sent her a message. What's your name? Which department are you from? Which company are you in? A series of exclamation marks and wavy lines. Even through the screen, he could feel the little girl's joy. Lincoln looked at the reply. Good gracious. Company 46. Just the company he's training. A ready-made opportunity presented itself. He must educate her well. Don't casually ask guys for WeChat for no reason. There are so many scumbags in the world. If you get cheated, you don't know where you'll cry. 3. She gets angry so easily. She's always puffed up with anger every day. With just a few words, she pulls a long face. It's just that he said a few more words to her and trained her a few more times. Lincoln moved his fingers and changed Jocelyn's note from Mario to Pufferfish. Why was he blocked? She does have a good sense of security. At least now she knows that men who would WeChat casually might be scumbags. At least the probability of being cheated in the future is smaller. Very good. Good my ass. Spreading rumors in front of her that he was going to confess to another guy and saying it was the most handsome guy. Did she think this could help him save face? Naive. The counselor has already started chatting with him, privately asking which elementary school junior he has a crush on. His roommate's gazes at him have also started to become strange. Truly. Jocelyn can spread rumors with one mouth. While he, Lincoln, has to run himself rag to refute them. Lincoln wished he could. He also wanted to be angry. But she's being cute. Forget it. She's just a little girl. For the sake of getting more rest. She definitely didn't mean it on purpose. Let her off this time. However, military training still can't be taken lightly. There is no such thing as muddling through in his dictionary. No more horse stance. Change to push-ups. She should be fine with push-ups. 4. What's wrong with this younger schoolmate Jocelyn? Why does she like to act coquetful so much? Why does she like to act cute so much? She doesn't speak properly. She has to use reduplicated words. Reduplicated words. Disgusting. You, Jocelyn, speak properly. The little girl's eyes were a bit confused. As if accusing and as if helpless. Lincoln began to reflect on himself. Was he too strict? Was his tone a bit too harsh? Was his expression a bit too cold? Is it annoying when she uses reduplicated words? No, it's not. Is it annoying when she acts coquetful and cute? Well, it's quite cute. So why did you criticize her? Lincoln. Excessive. Before Lincoln could finish reflecting on himself, he heard Jocelyn's helpless explanation. It turned out that he really had misunderstood. Jocelyn seemed to be really angry this time. For the first time in his life. Lincoln regretted. He reflected on all the details, since they met, and once again realized that he had indeed gone too far. In the evening, after washing up, he lay in bed. Countless times, he lit up his phone and opened WeChat. Wanting to send her a message, but not knowing what to say. She didn't send cheesy pickup lines anymore. She really ignored him. Lincoln was listless all day, and couldn't muster up any energy for anything. When having a meal, Instructor Jean asked him, Xiao Qi, did you have a fight? Lincoln was stunned. How does Instructor Zhang know everything? Instructor Zhang had the air of someone who had been through it all. Little girls need to be coaxed. You keep training her with a cold face every day. She definitely can't take it. If you like someone, be good to her. Don't train her like a soldier. So should he be better to Jocelyn? Wait. Why did he tacitly assume that Instructor Zhang was talking about Jocelyn? Wait. Does he like Jocelyn? 5. During the break. You just realized you like Jocelyn. After his friend heard him finish, he looked at him like he was looking at a slow-witted fool. Lincoln actually wasn't entirely sure. His friend raised his chin and asked, "Isn't the action of that girl holding the sign not very standard?" Lincoln frowned. "This is break time. What does her non-standard action have to do with me? I'm asking you something serious." But it was just so coincidental that as soon as he glanced over there, he saw Jocelyn. Jocelyn was sitting in a circle with several girls, smiling very sweetly. Nobody knew what they were talking about. She stood up and took 2 steps of goose stepping. Why was her leg lifted so low? And her instep wasn't straight either. Lincoln put down his water bottle and was about to go over. His friend pulled him. "Where are you going?" "Lincoln, Jocelyn's goose stepping is in such a mess. Can't you see? I'm going to call her for extra practice." His friend. "Don't you think you're a bit double standard?" His friend spread his hands. "During the same break time. For one, you're overly critical. And for the other, you don't even give a glance. What's this? This is love, brother." Lincoln didn't know if it was love. Anyway, Jocelyn hadn't talked to him these days, and he couldn't muster up any energy for anything. He was woken up by a nightmare in the middle of the night. What kind of dream was it? He dreamed that Jocelyn was sending cheesy pickup lines to others, being cute to others, and acting coquettously to others. Just say if it's terrible or not. His friend rolled his eyes and ignored him. He directly opened Douyin. The background music that came into his ears was a very loud male voice. It was extremely fitting. "You're in trouble. You've fallen in love. 6. She's so cute. The bed is also very fragrant. The quilt is chubby and bulging. As cute as her." She was flustered and also very cute. Lincoln was extremely glad that he reacted quickly and blocked it. Otherwise, if her head hit the bed frame, a little girl would definitely cry. Lincoln put his burning red right hand behind his back and comforted the extremely guilty little girl. The strategies these days really weren't in vain. It was worth it that he spent his break time frantically catching up on various apps. Her attitude was indeed much better. The military training ended. The little girl was an outstanding pacesetter. Lincoln also inexplicably felt a sense of honor when Jocelyn went on stage to receive the award. He took many pictures. Although it was a bit blurry due to the distance, it didn't detract from her cuteness. Lincoln frowned and thought, should he change to the 5,900 yuan phone like hers? He saw her taking selfies with her phone every day. The pixel should be quite good, right? Well, should he change to a same style phone case? Ask her some other day. Lincoln was a bit nervous. He closed his eyes and silently recited the words he was going to say to Jocelyn again. After reciting, he took out his phone and asked his friends, "Are all the things ready?" The reply came from there. "Don't worry. Buddy won't hold you back." Lincoln nodded in satisfaction and reviewed the words he was going to say to the little girl again. But in just a few minutes, the group chat exploded, and the phone vibrated wildly. Brother Key. Brother Key. The school has notified a training session. We are packing up. Let's gather directly at the school gate. We have packed your things for you. If you are in a hurry, confess first. Make up the ceremony later. Lincoln sighed and took a distant look in Jocelyn's direction. Then he lifted his leg and ran towards the school gate. At 4:30 in the morning, after the training session ended and they took the bus back to school, Lincoln was almost like a wild man. As soon as the phone was handed to him, he quickly turned it on and clicked on Jocelyn's moments. Lynn's boyfriend is really good. He brings breakfast and reserves a seat. Envious and sincerely asking, when will sweet love be my turn? Lincoln gave it a like. Is bringing breakfast and reserving a seat really so impressive? Should he try it too? The cafeteria should be closed at this time. There were 2 steamed buns and a bottle of water distributed by the squad leader in his backpack before getting on the bus. Lincoln turned his face away in disgust. His seatmate handed him a sausage. He pressed his growling stomach. Suddenly, his eyes lit up as if he had thought of something. Who has a lighter?